All right, get ready to dive into something you might not think twice about, the world of coffee on movie sets. We're going deep with this article called, Do Actors Really Drink Coffee on Set? It's from a website called Coffee at Corner,
Mhm.
and honestly, it's a pretty fascinating read.
It really is. We're going to be talking about how coffee is more than just fuel for those long days on set.
Right, it's like we all know actors have crazy schedules, but this article is suggesting it goes way beyond just staying awake. They say coffee can actually play a part in helping actors get into character.
And that makes sense when you think about it. Being in character means being totally present, super focused on every little detail.
Yeah, when cameras are on you, picking up every tiny thing, you've got to be on point.
Absolutely. And the science actually backs this up. There's a whole bunch of research out there that shows how caffeine can really boost how well your brain works. Things like being more alert and concentrating better.
So it's like a brain power boost.
Basically, yeah, like a
Uh,
little turbocharge for your mind.
Okay, so we get the caffeine helps us focus, but this article takes it further. They're saying coffee can actually make your performance better, not just keep you going.
Whoa, hold on. To actually perform better, not just power through. That's a big claim.
Right. And they even have this quote, coffee dramatically improves your performance, not only because of the clarity it gives you, but due of the rest and renewal it affords you.
Hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, it seems like they're saying it's not just a quick caffeine kick.
Yeah, like it's about getting into a certain headspace. You've got that focus, but also a sense of being free to create.
So you're saying it's like hitting that sweet spot where you've got the energy, but you're not all jittery. You're alert, but not, anxious.
You got it. And I bet that balance is super important for actors who have to, switch between a bunch of different emotions really quickly.
Oh, and speaking of emotions, get this. The article talks about how the type of coffee an actor drinks might match the type of movie they're making.
Whoa, okay. Tell me more about this genre coffee connection.
So picture this. For those big action movies, actors are going for the strong stuff. Espresso, dark roasts, the intense kind.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Like it matches that high stakes, super intense vibe of the film.
Exactly. But then, for comedies, they're probably grabbing something a bit lighter and sweeter.
Interesting. Could there be a mind thing going on there? Like, does matching the energy of the movie with your coffee actually change how you perform? Hmm.
Right. It makes you think. And they also make this point that just liking the taste of the coffee is super important too.
Of course. Yeah. Imagine trying to nail a dramatic scene while you're drinking coffee you hate.
Totally distracting. Okay, so we've talked about how coffee can make you focus better and maybe even make you a better actor. But let's get real for a minute. How do they keep their coffee hot on a busy movie set?
Mm.
The article actually has some pretty surprising tricks.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's hear these on-set coffee hacks. What do they do?
Get ready for this. Styrofoam cups.
Styrofoam. Really? It works, but it's not very, Hollywood, is it?
I know, right? But apparently it's all about that insulation. Keeps their coffee warm way longer than a regular mug would.
Yeah, I guess from a heat perspective, it makes sense. Styrofoam is a great insulator. It'll keep things hot for a long time. But I wonder if there's anything a little more high-tech they could be using.
Maybe. Oh, and here's another trick for both heat and sweetness. Putting sugar in the bottom of the cup before the coffee.
Hold on, I've never heard that one. What does it do?
So the sugar down there is supposed to help the coffee stay hot longer. And then as you drink it, the sugar slowly dissolves. And by the end, you get this nice sweet kick.
Oh, that's actually pretty smart. Two birds, one stone. These practical tips are fun and all, but I really want to dig into that whole performance side of things a bit more. The article talks about a few common questions about coffee and acting, and some of them are pretty surprising.
Oh, you mean like the one about coffee actually helping actors with stage fright?
Yeah, those pre-show jitters. You'd think caffeine would make that worse, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
But maybe for some people, that whole coffee ritual, the taste, that warm feeling, maybe it gives them a sense of comfort or control in those high-pressure moments.
You might be onto something there. It might not just be the caffeine itself, but the routine, that sense of normalcy. Especially in a world where so much is unpredictable, it's kind of like the pre-game ritual.
Like an athlete stretching before a big game.
Right, and I bet that calming effect is just as important as the actual energy boost.
Mm.
So before we take a little break there, we were getting into how coffee can be like a grounding ritual for actors, especially on those hectic film sets.
Yeah. And it really feeds into this idea of coffee being way more than just a drink, almost like a tool or like a mental switch to help them step into and out of character.
It's fascinating when you really think about it. The taste, the smell,
Mm.
even just that warmth from the cup, all those things can make your mind shift gears, like a signal to your brain saying, all right, time to perform.
Okay, so we've talked about how coffee helps actors focus and maybe even makes them better actors. But the article also talks about how coffee gives actors the energy to keep going on those long shoots, which seems pretty basic, right?
You'd think so, yeah. I mean, caffeine equals energy, we all know that. But they actually take it a step further in the article. Like, they're saying that all that energy helps actors be more passionate about their performance, and, like, that passion leads to a better final product.
Yeah, they even go so far as to say it leads to more satisfied clients
Yeah.
and more opportunities.
Which makes sense. You know, when you think about it, if the actors are energized and excited, they're going to bring their best to the set.
Right, and a happy client probably means more work for everyone down the line.
Exactly. Everyone wins. Hey, remember how we were talking about certain types of coffee being a better fit for certain types of movies?
Oh yeah, the whole genre coffee thing, that blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Intense coffee for action flicks, sweeter stuff for comedies, like matching the vibe of the movie to the vibe of the coffee.
Yeah, so they give the example of espresso or like really strong dark roasts being what actors in action movies or thrillers go for.
It makes me wonder if there's like actual research out there on this coffee matching, if it really does change how someone performs.
That would be a cool study, wouldn't it? Imagine trying to get into that dark and gritty energy you need for a thriller while you're sipping on a caramel latte.
I don't know, that just feels wrong somehow.
Totally. Oh, and remember the article mentioned how important it is that actors actually like the taste of the coffee they're drinking?
Yeah, if you're focused on how gross your coffee is, you're not going to be in the moment, are you?
Nope. Okay, but let's get back to those on-set coffee hacks for a minute. That styrofoam cup thing, genius.
Right. Not the most glamorous solution, but hey, if it keeps the coffee hot, who cares? Maybe there's a whole, like, underground market for designer styrofoam cups on movie sets.
You never know. What about that sugar at the bottom of the cup trick? Had you ever heard of that one before?
No, it's like a little reward for making it through a long scene or take. Like you finish your coffee and bam, a little extra sweetness.
Pretty smart. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The article also talks about some frequently asked questions about coffee and acting, and one that stood out to me was how coffee can actually help with, like, performance anxiety.
You mean those pre-show jitters that actors always talk about?
Exactly. You'd think caffeine would make that way worse. But maybe for some actors, it's about the routine of it, you know? That familiar taste and warmth, maybe it helps them feel more in control in those high-pressure situations.
Like it's their thing, their routine before they go on. It's familiar, it's comforting, helps ground them before the spotlight's on them.
Exactly. It just shows you how powerful the mental effects of coffee can be, just as much as the physical ones. It's like, what do you do before a big presentation at work or before a job interview? We all have those little rituals, right?
So true. It's like telling yourself, okay, I've got this, I can do this.
Right, and maybe the coffee ritual is the same thing for actors, just a way to find some stability and normalcy when everything around them is crazy.
It makes sense, right? So it's not really just about the caffeine, but that psychological comfort that comes with doing the same thing every time.
Now, another thing they mention in the article is how coffee can really help actors stay alert and focused, which, when every little expression you make is being caught on camera, must be super important.
Absolutely. And that just comes back to how caffeine can make you more alert and focused in general, like we talked
Yeah.
about before, like giving your brain that extra boost to stay sharp when you're filming.
Exactly. They specifically say that having coffee before filming can help stop those pre-performance jitters that a lot of actors feel. It's like their secret weapon.
But that's interesting because for some people, caffeine can make anxiety worse, right?
Yeah, which is another example of how everyone reacts to caffeine differently. Some people might feel more anxious, others more focused. It's all about your brain chemistry.
So what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. There's no one size fits all here. And they go on to say how important coffee is for staying focused and alert throughout the whole filming process, not just at the beginning.
That's got to be tough to be on for hours at a time, saying lines, hitting your marks, and reacting to whatever's thrown at you. That's mentally and emotionally draining. I can see how coffee could help with that.
Definitely. They even quote an actor who says they drink coffee before and after filming just to keep their energy and focus up.
Like bookending their performance with coffee.
Exactly. And the after filming coffee is interesting because they talk about how coffee can actually help actors relax and decompress after a long day.
Makes sense. It's going to be tough to just switch off all those emotions when the director yells, cut.
And caffeine, even though it's a stimulant, can actually help you clear your head. Think about how a cup of coffee can sometimes help you think things through more clearly.
So it's about achieving that mental state where you can be super focused but also relaxed.
Yeah. Coffee is a surprisingly versatile tool for actors to have in their kit.
You know, this whole conversation has made me realize how much we all rely on little rituals and routines. That first cup of coffee in the morning or a walk after dinner, they all have a surprisingly big effect on how we think and act.
Totally agree. And it's cool to think that something as simple as a drink can play such a big role in something as complex as acting.
Okay, I think we've squeezed all the insight we can out of this topic.
Yeah, we've really gone deep, from the science of caffeine to the art of acting. It's clear that coffee has a much bigger part to play in the world of film than we might have realized.
I think it's time we take a final sip of knowledge and wrap this up.
Let's do it.
And we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into, well, coffee on movie sets. We've talked about how it helps actors focus, how it can even boost their performance, and of course all those interesting rituals. It's clear now that coffee is so much more than just a quick energy fix in the world of film.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see how something as simple as coffee can be so connected to the whole creative process.
Totally. But there's this one last point from the article that I think really brings it all home. They talk about how coffee can help actors deal with the emotional ups and downs of their job.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that this goes way beyond just staying awake.
Oh, absolutely. Acting takes so much out of you, both emotionally and physically. Think about it. These actors are digging deep into all these intense emotions, sometimes for hours at a time. That's got to be exhausting.
And they can't just like turn those emotions off when the director yells cut, right?
Exactly. They need some way to unwind, to separate themselves from the characters they've been playing. And the article suggests that coffee, in a way, helps them do just that.
So it's like this ritual that helps them transition,
Yeah.
like out of character and back to being themselves again. Maybe it's that familiar, comforting feeling of a warm drink, the taste, the smell, like it's telling their mind and body, okay, time to switch gears.
And that separation between work life and personal life is so important, don't you think? Whether you're an actor or not. We all need those little things, those rituals that help us unwind after a long day.
Totally. Think about like your own day. Maybe it's that first cup of coffee to get you going or taking a walk after dinner to relax.
Exactly. And for actors, especially those who really immerse themselves in their roles, I bet that transition ritual is even more crucial.
So we've gone from coffee as this energy booster to coffee as something that can actually improve how well you perform, and now to coffee as like emotional support.
It's pretty amazing, right? We started with this simple question, do actors really drink coffee on set? And look where we ended up.
Before we sign off, I want to leave everyone with something to think about. We spent all this time talking about coffee, but what about all the other stuff actors eat and drink on set? Could those seemingly random snacks and drinks be having a subtle effect on how well they act?
That's a great question. Think about it. Could a sugary snack lead to a more energetic performance? Could a big meal make an actor's performance slower and more thoughtful?
Who knows? It's definitely something to consider. And maybe it's a reminder for all of us to think about what we're eating and drinking and how it might be affecting our work, our focus, even our mood.
Absolutely. It's all connected, isn't it? The food we eat, the drinks we choose, the little rituals we do. It all adds up to who we are and how we act in the world.
Well, I think we've officially gotten every last bit of insight out of this topic.
Totally agree. We've covered so much ground, from the science behind caffeine to the art of acting, and it's pretty clear now that coffee plays a way bigger role in the film industry than most people would think.
So next time you're watching a movie and you see an actor giving an amazing performance, remember, there might just be a perfectly brewed cup of coffee behind it all.
And maybe that'll inspire you to think about your own daily routines and how they affect your performance in life.
And on that note, it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of coffee on movie sets. Thanks for listening.
Until next time, may your coffee be strong and your days be filled with those little moments that make you think.